There is nothing the power of God cannot change. There is nothing impossible before the power of God.
At a certain point in the night, hundreds of young men, women and children ran to the stage area to be prayed for.
The former things are passed away.
Nigerian Muslims have marked Eid al-Adha, known as the Feast of Sacrifice, one of the biggest festivals in the Islamic calendar.
In Nigeria, religion commands deeper loyalty than government. It shapes how we vote, how we see others, how we define enemies, and sometimes how we justify hatred. But behind the hymns and hallelujahs, behind the prophecies and miracles, behind the massive crowd, there is a darker truth. A truth that begins with one man, Primate Elijah Ayodele, born February 1960, and he's the founder of Evangelical Spiritual Church in Lagos, a man who releases hundreds of prophecies every year. He actually has a booklet of prophecies every single year, from politics to economics, international, even football matches. And to his followers, he's a divine messenger. To critics, he's, however, an unpredictable forecaster whose prophecies shift with the wind. But what happens when we place his words under a microscope? What happens when we examine the timeline, not opinions, not emotions, just dates and outcomes? Today, let us examine the prophecies and see if they ever came to pass. Before the viral prophecies, before the cameras and interviews, there was a moment in 1996 that marked the beginning of Primate Ayodele's long history of dramatic predictions. It was during a crusade called Vision 2010. In that crusade, he declared that General Sani Abacha would not live to see the year 2010. That prophecy pushed him into national awareness. It also set the stage for a pattern that would follow him for decades. A pattern of declarations, repeated failures, and confident predictions that often dissolved under the weight of reality. Years later, the pattern deepened. Primate Ayodele made a series of prophecies about President Muhammadu Buhari that shook the political landscape. He said Buhari would never return from his medical trip. But Buhari returned. He said Buhari would not finish his first term, but Buhari finished his first term. He said Buhari would never win a second term, yet Buhari completed 8 years in power. These were not vague prophecies. They were specific, time-bound declarations that played out in front of the whole world and fell apart for everyone to see. In 2021, he shifted from politics to national destiny when he declared that Nigeria would disintegrate before the year 2030, not as a possibility, as an inevitability.
Are you still reiterating the fact that Nigeria would
break? Yeah.
Between 2035
to 2040, except we pray. Only prayers will stop us not to break.
For many Nigerians already living in fear of ethnic tensions, insecurity, and political instability, this prophecy did not offer guidance. It offered anxiety. It deepened suspicion. It fed the belief that this country was already a ticking bomb waiting to explode. Predictions like this do not heal, they inflame. And I'm sure come 2030, that Nigeria will still be here. January 2013, prophecy. Goodluck Jonathan will remain president till 2019. In January 2013, Ayodele told the nation that Goodluck Jonathan would continue in office until 2019. He added that PDP would retain control of key states like Kaduna, Gombe, Yobe, and Benue in 2015. The result was the opposite.
Muhammadu Buhari of APC is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
Jonathan lost. APC won the majority of the mentioned states. So this prophecy collapsed in full daylight. In 2014, prophecy, Boko Haram will bomb the southwest. Between 2014 and 2015, Ayodele declared that Boko Haram would carry out bombings in Lagos, Ibadan, and other southwest region. But it never happened. Not a single Boko Haram bombing in the southwest to this day. Another prophecy, another collapse. In late 2014, another prophecy warned that Ebola would return to Nigeria in 2025. But since the World Health Organization declared Nigeria Ebola free in 2014, no case has ever resurfaced.
The chains of transmission have been broken. WHO officially declares that Nigeria is now free of Ebola virus transmission.
And this is almost the end of 2025. For a nation that once faced that deadly virus, such a prophecy does not uplift the public. It only reawakens old fears. In 2014 again, prophecy, APC will lose Lagos in 2015 because the glory of the party is fading. That was what he said. Ayodele said APC had spiritually lost Lagos and that Akinwumi Ambode was the wrong choice. But we all know what happened. The 2015 result came. APC won Lagos comfortably. Ambode became governor. This was not a near miss. It was a complete miss.
And I wish to declare that Ambode Akinwumi Dapo of APC and scoring the highest votes is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
Now, in August 2021, his prophecy, Ifeanyi Uba stands a prophetic chance to win Anambra. Ayodele said victory surrounded Ifeanyi Uba in the November 2021 Anambra election. The election came, Uba placed a distant third. Soludo won.
That Charles Chukwuma Soludo of APGA, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner.
The prophecy did not align with reality. It never came to pass. I know the question you're beginning to ask now, but just hold on. We're not done yet. In January 4, 2023, prophecy, Atiku Abubakar will win the 2023 presidential election. You see, it's getting more interesting now. Through his media aid, he declared that Atiku Abubakar had a divine assignment to rule Nigeria. But Atiku lost. Bola Ahmed Tinubu won.
Tinubu Bola Ahmed of the APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. Thank you.
And Tinubu is still the president till today. So this is another false prediction recorded in full national view. But we're not done. In November 2023, Prophecy, this time around he went into football. He said Liverpool will beat Luton Town by more than 2 goals.
Liverpool will beat Luton very well. Liverpool will beat them more than 2 goals.
He was emphatic. Ayodele said it confidently. He even said God revealed it to him. But Liverpool struggled in that match. They escaped defeat with a last-minute equalizer.
Konate stays forward. Ball in from Harvey Elliott. Big chance this for Luis Diaz of all people, who heads Liverpool back in the game.
So the match ended 1-1. The Prophecy became an internet joke instantly, of course. He declared that Kylian Mbappe would fail at Real Madrid, that he would struggle and be paid error. He went on to say that Chelsea Football Club, my own Chelsea Football Club, was spiritually cursed and heading towards relegations.
Chelsea is finished. If they are not careful, they will not function again. The people who bought the Chelsea should go back to the owner and get his blessings. Otherwise, we will put 10 striker, 20 striker, defender, best keeper in the world. Because there is a curse that is troubling Chelsea at this moment. I've told you ever before now, take this, my words, very, very serious if you want to progress. Otherwise, Chelsea can go to total relegation. Because any team who faces Chelsea now can beat Chelsea. They need spiritual cleansing for them to wake up to the challenges that is ahead of them.
But Chelsea never came close to relegation. Of course, we all know that. He declared that Nigeria would qualify for the World Cup. Nigeria did not qualify. Nigeria was beaten a few days ago by the Republic of Congo.
Fayale stepping backwards. Ajayi forwards, and it's saved! Fayale got there! Final. Needing to keep his bottle here. And Mbembe stepping up. He's won it! It's the DRC on the way to Mexico, and maybe on the way to the World Cup. Nigeria are out.
These prophecies were not symbolic or metaphorical. They were direct predictions that failed in public view. Beyond Nigeria, his prophetic reach extended to Ghana. And this is where you begin to see a lot of very funny prophecies that never came to pass.
I'm a prophet. I have a name. I have a name. I have a name. The person will not disappoint you, Ghanaians. The person who will make Ghana better than any other person, not NDC. If you vote NDC, you vote for troubles. Ghana will not be Ghana again. Ghana will be for sale. Ghana will go oblivion in the map of Africa. Take it or you leave it. This is not a matter of joking, serious matter. My name is Primate Ayodele.
In the heat of Ghana's political season, Ayodele declared Alhaji Bawumia was divinely chosen to win the presidential election. He said Bawumia carried heaven's endorsement. But when the ballots were counted,
in the light of the above, ladies and gentlemen, I have the singular honor as the returning officer of the 2024 presidential election to declare His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as the winner of the 2024 presidential election and the president-elect of the Republic of Ghana.
After a tense night of anticipation in Ghana, the Vice President and governing NPP candidate Mahamudu Bawumia acknowledged defeat in Saturday's presidential poll.
The people of Ghana have spoken. The people have voted for change at this time, and we respect that decision with all humility.
John Mahama defeated Bawumia clearly and decisively. This was another prophecy that had been delivered with confidence, only to collapse openly. In September 2024, prophecy, Donald Trump will lose the 2024 US election and Kamala Harris will shock the world. This was his prophecy. So Ayodele prophecy was clear. Trump will not win, Trump will fail. But on election night, Trump won.
Gentlemen, please welcome the next President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
And the prophecy was buried under global headlines, a mockery. At this point, I wonder what you're thinking. But we're not done. We're getting into the most dangerous of all of these things. But let us get to the most interesting part of it. One of the most unusual concerns came in 2022 when Senator Sani Musa pointed out that Ayodele had begun releasing prophecies through a media aid. Not from the pulpit, not from prayer, not from spiritual gathering, not from anything like that, but through an assistant. A prophet outsourcing prophecies, a divine message delivered through an office announcement. Even for church-going Nigerians, this raised uncomfortable questions. But let us get into the wider pattern where religious leaders become ethnic arsonists. The most trending one is that Igbos are cursed. In November 2025, just a few days ago, Ayodele crossed a line no religious leader should ever cross. During a live service, he said, Igbos are cursed. Igbos are the problem of Nigeria. They can never rule this country.
Hausa is not the problem, but the Igbos. Any Igbo can go against it. You can lambast me, you can insult me, it's not my business. It gives me courage, it gives me more glory and blessing. Your insult. Igbo, they are the problems of this country. They are desperate of power. They want to rule Nigeria at all costs. And I've not seen them ruling Nigeria, even in coming dispensation. Let them bring, when 10 trillion will come out. Igbos, they are betrayal of themselves. People cannot ourselves. But they don't understand. Instead of them to seek wisdom, they are flexing muscle.
Even if you bring 1,000 P2Bs, none will enter Asorok. He said a whole lot of unspeakable things while on the altar. Now, imagine being an Igbo person in that crowd. Imagine standing in church, the place where you seek comfort and healing, only to hear the man of God condemn your bloodline. Imagine the shock in your chest, the sting behind your eyes, the feeling that your identity is being judged, not your actions. The wound that forms inside you quietly because the people around you are clapping. This was not prophecy. This was ethnic profiling spoken with confidence of divine authority. The danger is not in one man. The danger is in the pattern. So let us examine the others. In February 2022, there was a Catholic priest, Father James Anelu of Holy Trinity Catholic Church, Lagos. He stood on the altar in February 2022 and said, "No more Igbo songs in this church. The excesses of Igbo must be contained." Did you hear that? A priest, an ordained Roman Catholic priest, stood on the altar on a Sunday sermon. And the first thing he said was, "No more Igbo songs in this church. The excesses of Igbo must be contained." Now, if you've watched to this point, Just pause for a moment and imagine the Igbos sitting in that church. Imagine the mothers holding hymn books in their hands. Imagine children in white choir garments suddenly frozen. Imagine realizing that your language, the same language your parents prayed in, is not welcome in the house of God. It's humiliation wrapped in holiness. A quiet trauma that settles in the heart. He was suspended, but the wound remained. Let's talk about Johnson Suleiman. In a resurfaced sermons, Apostle Johnson Suleiman declared that the problems of the Igbos are Igbos. He went on to say that the Igbos are useless.
An Igbo man employs an Igbo boy to sell in his shop. He will wreck him. He will carry all the man's money, be buying land. He won't wait to be settled. The problem of Igbo is Igbo.
You can feel the emotional weight of a statement like that. A tribe that survived civil war. A tribe that rebuilt itself from ashes. A tribe that carries pain in its generational memory. Now hearing again that they are the reason for their own suffering. Words like this do not heal nations. They break them, regardless of the context that it was spoken. But we are not done. Pastor Tunde Bakare and the Balewa cause claim. In 2022, Pastor Tunde Bakare claimed that Tafawa Balewa placed a curse on the Igbo before his death in 1966. Please verify these things.
Igbos cannot rule Nigeria, and I want to remove the curse today. You know what happened? The day they killed Tafawa Balewa, they removed his turban, they poured wine on his head, forced him to drink, and shot him. And while he was being killed, he said, none of your tribe will ever rule Nigeria.
He went further to imply that Igbos were responsible for the civil war, presenting them as the architects of their own national tragedy. Now, imagine being an Igbo listener that day. Imagine having grandparents who survived starvation and bombings. Imagine hearing a pastor say the blame lies with your people. Imagine hearing your pastor say that your entire bloodline, your entire tribe, your entire people are cursed. It is emotional re-injury. It is reopening an old wound with a spiritual knife. This is not prophecy. This is meat turned into doctrine. These are words given birth to from a heart that hates. Now let us talk about Pastor Tony Milton, a Redeemed Christian Church of God pastor. In 2023 and 2024, he tweeted that Igbos, I don't know how to say this word, but I'm just going to say them. He tweeted that the Igbos were despicable, enemies of others, and people from a destructive region. A pastor tweeted that. A pastor in Redeemed Christian Church of God. When the tweet generated backlash, he deleted them and apologized. But pay attention. In 2024, he retweeted again a tweet that says, when Igbos attack Yoruba, everyone keeps quiet. Igbos are the real oppressors offline. The same pastor. Those words do not just insult, they bruise. They leave people questioning their worth in their own country. His mindset did not disappear. It simply evolved. And this tweet, millions saw this tweet. Until today, the same pastor is still tweeting. The hatred is still there. Now, this is not just with pastors alone. Extremist preaching from Muslim clerics are also there. On the northern side, some Islamic preachers have publicly called Christians enemies. Some have branded Southerners rebels.
Wannan suna kada ya zama suna ne na ƙarya, suna ne na siyasa, sunan baka muna so mu gan shi aikace. Ka je wannan unguwar ka keta ta kamar masallacin Juma'a kato a tsakiya.
Some have framed political competition as religious war. Different religion, same poison. Let's look at the psychology of control. But here is the part that few people will admit. Even after this insult, even after these curses, even after these tribal condemnations, many Igbos still attend these churches. They still serve on the altar. They still sow seed. They still defend the same men who demean them. Why? Because religion in Nigeria is not faith. It's fear. Fear of missing heaven. Fear of losing blessings. Fear of spiritual abandonment. Fear is the cage. Influence is the lock. And millions remain trapped inside. Jesus never cursed tribes. Jesus never banned languages. Jesus never declared a people unwanted. Jesus loved Samaritans. He helped Romans. He praised foreigners. He broke barriers, not tribes. So if Jesus walked into these modern churches and heard these modern prophecies, would he nod in approval or overturn the altars? And this should be a warning. When a pastor curses a tribe, he is not just speaking to adults. He is programming children. He is building fear. He is fueling resentment. He is dividing a country already stitched together with fragile thread. The true danger is not in the prophecy. The true danger is in the platform, because millions listen and millions obey and millions adopt the hatred. If the altars continue to divide us, Nigeria may never heal. And these are my final words. Prophecies should reveal truth, not create enemies. Until religious leaders are held accountable, until their words are measured like fire, this nation will continue to burn from the inside. This is the truth behind the altars. My name is KaaTruths. See you next time.